Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Aaron Amadeus. Welcome to Behind the Show with Matt Lee and Jeff Parker.
All right. Yeah. Here we go, folks. This is what it's all about here.
Formerly known as Everrise from the WWE and NXT. And on this show, we're not going to stay in character in terms of the characters that you may be familiar with Matt and Jeff with, but we're going to talk wrestling. We're going to talk what actually happens behind the show, and the show being two things. One, the newest tag team that there is, the newest, greatest free agent that there are in the world of professional wrestling.
Yeah. This guy's good. Yeah, what do you want? You want 10%? What do you want, 10%?
We'll talk about that a little bit later on.
That's what that is.
There you go. Plus, we'll be talking about actually what happens behind the scenes when it comes to wrestling and some really neat stories and really deep diving into things. And it's going to be a little bit of a different show than what you normally hear and normally watch on the channel. And we're really excited about that being truly authentic, truly unscripted. And we're going to have a lot of fun. And you, the viewer at home, can interact like you've never interacted before. If you've ever wanted to ask
technology.
There you go. If you have ever wanted to ask two fellas that have been in NXT, who have fought in 205 Live, who have fought in all the different types of scenarios in the WWE, been involved in a lot, you can actually get involved in the show. You email us right now, and the email address is theshowrules@gmail.com, theshowrules@gmail.com. Ask your questions. You actually can come live onto the show, like a video chat like we're doing right now. It's going to be awesome. We will answer any question that you have, and we're actually really looking forward to it. So, guys, it's Florida.
Yeah.
What's the weather like?
Oh, it's muggy, really stormy. Humid. You know, we might have a bit of a power outage. I don't know. Very stormy.
I did get to go down by the pool a little bit today.
Yeah, so that was nice for you.
Yeah, it's been nice. They put out some new chairs there at the timeshare.
You know, hearing Aaron talk, it sounded like we were gonna spill the tea. Are we spilling tea, Aaron?
Spill the tea.
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff we're going to talk about, and this is not just going to be a today thing. This is going to keep going on. And I want to mention too, if you're a fan of this show, if you're a fan of wrestling, make sure you like and subscribe to this channel, because anytime there's breaking news, like we just heard the other day, and I know Matt and Jeff might have some insight for this, and you know what? They told me whatever you do, don't mention it, so I won't, but I will. There could be a couple of big signings that may have already happened in the world of pro wrestling. There's CM Punk, and then there's Daniel Bryan. So we might talk a little bit about that, but when those things break and they happen, you can tune in and get the actual insight from two guys who, one of the best tag teams, in my opinion, to hit NXT, 205, and the WWE for a long, long time. So
we'll show up and have a little chat about it.
A little breaking news. It's going to be great. You know, anytime we'll just jump on, be live, and we'll chit chat with the audience. Send your emails, send your comments.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I automatically go into show mode. Like I'm the host.
I know.
I'm not the host over here.
Not the host.
I know. Yeah, you will go right into it. We've had this conversation a while. Whatever you do, don't make me talk, because you're going to go right into the stick. So but hey, you've been living, breathing this character for a while, so we're going to deep dive into that a little bit later. We got a little message here from
far off.
That's right.
There you go. We have a message from Max. Hey, looking good, which is always great. And then another message from Anthony. Matt, you're looking. Everybody says Matt. What about Jeff?
No. Hey, this guy's here too.
Give Jeff some love, okay? Well,
it might be the pink shirt. I don't know.
It's actually lavender.
Lavender.
Yeah.
Is that like purple?
Yeah.
It's a purple.
It's a light purple.
It's purple. He's wearing a purple shirt.
You've never heard of
wearing
lavender?
a purple shirt?
I thought lavender was like a smell.
Well,
Why not? Why not? So once again, if you want to be part of the show, all you have to do is email us, and the email is pretty simple. theshowrules@gmail.com, and we'll send you the link, and you can be on the show and have yourself a great time when you're on the show, and just talk a little bit.
I think I need to get a chair with an armrest.
Need a bit of an armrest.
Like if I had an armrest here,
yeah,
I'd be sitting pretty.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit of a lean going.
Be sitting pretty.
Got a bit of a lean.
You guys look good. Don't worry. You guys look good. So, topic of today's show. Every single week we're gonna have a topic, and before we teased this a little bit where we talked about getting released, and I mean it's not a fun subject to talk about, but it is. And Matt and I, we talked about this before. Some may look at this as it could be a depressing topic, or it could be a topic of liberation, right? It could be a topic of, you know what? There's opportunity all around there. And I look at it like that. I'm a glass half full type of person.
Absolutely.
And I think both of you have so much talent. And I think that, you know what, just from an outsider looking in, you both had the ability to make a mark on social media in the WWE and NXT with really little support. And you just came up with the idea like that. And you took it somewhere that no one had really done anything. So tell me, first of all, tell me a little bit about that, how Everrise and this characters that you really developed on the social media side, how that came to fruition.
So we always knew that for us to stand out, we have to talk. We have to be able to show this chemistry between the two of us, which comes through the chit-chatting and the promos, mostly when you're putting it in a wrestling context. And, you know, promo time on TV, it's not given away. Like, you got to understand that they have 2 hours blocked out of this TV with commercials. Like, every second they give you on TV is literally a financial investment. And you're not just going to get that every single time.
And when you're in NXT or WWE, you're at the top of your industry, right? This is the top of the industry. The greatest athletes, the best bodies, the best personalities. So we're sitting there saying, like, well, how do we stand out? You know what I mean? So the whole time, even just to get hired into WWE, it was our personalities, our characters, personas, the dichotomy between the two of us, that chemistry that got us hired initially. And now you get into the system of NXT, right? At like the Performance Center, and you're in there with, I don't know, 150 other people.
Give or take, yeah.
So you have to navigate those waters, you know, and figure out, how am I going to stand out here, right?
And the other part was, so we started getting booked for 205 Live. You know, it took us like about a year and a half to finally start getting some TV stuff. And we also realized that, like, you know, 205 Live, it's a very niche market. You know, it's not the biggest push brand that WWE has.
Yeah, nobody watches it.
It's just
nobody watches 205 Live.
Yeah, but I would argue that I would say that a lot of the most talented wrestlers, that if you actually just want to watch pure athleticism and wrestling, some of the best talent is showcased on 205.
100% like underrated. The most underrated people, I would say, are on that show. That's kind of where they put, like, almost like castaways. In a sense, they put them on 205 Live. So when we ended up on that show about, I don't know, a year and a half ago, we were like, we have to make the absolute most of this opportunity. Every match, every little segment that we get on the program, have to maximize it so we could show Triple H, we could show Shawn, we could show
the world.
Yeah, whoever's watching, this is what we offer. This is what we bring to the table. Because sometimes when you're in the factory, when you're in the warehouse at the PC, this gets lost. They're not always paying attention. You know what I mean? They have the guys, their top draft picks that they chose, and they're concentrated on those guys. So how we have to use 205 to stand out from the crowd.
And it's always kind of been the trajectory of our entire careers. You know what I mean? It's never been necessarily the in-ring that's going to blow people away when it comes to us. Like, are we very good at what we do? Absolutely. But, you know, you have guys like, let's say Tony Nese, for example, if we're talking 205, like, this guy can do things that just my body would never be able to function that way. But he's able to do those things. So we always knew that throughout our careers, promos are what made us stand out. When we had our time in Chikara or on any of the indies, it was always get in front of the camera and talk.
So here's the thing. This is what happened, right? We realized we did some promos for 205 Live, just put them up on our own on social media, and they did really well, right? They would get retweeted. Everybody in the industry started retweeting them, got a lot of traction. But then we slowly realized, like we quickly realized that we got to be booked to cut these promos.
Yeah.
So we were like, let's create a show where we don't rely on having a match or a segment or whatever, where we just talk every single week.
And not to mention, if you're just doing these promos all the time, like, no matter how good
it gets redundant. It gets redundant.
You've seen it.
You know what I mean?
You know, you've seen it. There's a certain ceiling of, you know, the 1 minute post-match, pre-match, whatever it is that you're doing. There's a ceiling to that. So that's exactly what we're saying. Is like, how do we build something that sustains itself, regardless of if we're wrestling, whatever the situation may be? We can figure out something where every single week we're there.
We're talking right now, and it's still like super polished. Like, we have that WWE polish all over us right now. You know what I mean? Like, we're not letting loose. Like, it's all kind of super tight. You know what I mean?
You don't work there anymore. You know that, right, guys? Yeah.
Pardon me?
You don't work there anymore, so you don't have to have that polish.
Right, you're right. Like,
it's all good. It's all good. Speaking of WWE, so I mean WWE, like any major corporation and company, you got a lot of red tape, right? Like you got to get
red
so
tape.
the fact that you were able to kind of break free and to get the attention of everybody on social media and to really branch out in that framework of, in the other brand in NXT. And that's, I mean, that really, to me, that baffles my mind. It was kind of like you snuck in and then when no one was paying attention, you did something and then everybody was like, wait, what just happened? And now they can't pull the plug on that, you'd think, right?
You just nailed it the whole time. So when we got to the Performance Center 2 years ago, we knew like we're not going to be the focus, okay? Because we're not number one draft picks, right? We're like 6 rounders. Just put us over here in the corner. Just leave us alone over here in the corner, and we'll make something of it.
You want to talk about red tape?
Oh yeah, talk about the red tape.
Red tape. So, every week at the Performance Center, you have promo class, right? And I'm sorry, we've made a living off of talking. Like really, when it comes down to it, we would do these promo classes, and it would just be these reviews of, well, that's not really what we do here. That 80s wrestling, yelling and being funny, that's not what we do here. You need to establish yourself as serious competitors and what?
Yeah. It's like you hire a plumber and then you're like, I want you to redo the wiring for the electricity.
Just go redo the wiring here.
Very, very bizarre way of doing business.
Yeah. And we're going to do a show all about how, you guys got into wrestling and how each step of the way where you got to, and then getting to the show ultimately, and then where you go from now. I mean, this is really some interesting stuff that we're going to go through. I just want to make some mentions on the chat that we have going on over here. Once again, if you want to join the show,
very exciting.
A lot of people mentioning stuff. This is great. If you want to come on the show, all you have to do is email us theshowrules@gmail.com. theshowrules@gmail.com. Make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. We're getting a lot of there's a lot of comments here, guys.
Love it.
There's actually comments about me, which is very awkward. Souvlaki George. Oh yes. Yes. Remember that? Aaron Amadeus owes me Souvlaki George gift certificate from 20 years ago. That was when we did the In the Ring radio show, if you recall. Yeah. A long time ago. People remember that. Wow, can't believe that. So this is great. Nothing wrong. If we can see over here, nothing wrong with okay, except at your station. I'm just right over there. Nothing wrong with the sound. There are so many people writing things. This is great. Okay, hold on. What else do we got over here?
They're just chit-chatting.
Is this a fresh cup of mud, boys?
It is. You're darn right it is a fresh cup.
Ooh, never been muddier.
Real fresh.
Never been muddier.
Okay, we're getting tons of people asking questions. This is awesome.
All right,
I know Victor just came in the show a little bit before, and he's going to join us as soon as he gets back in there. So, Victor, when you have a chance, come back in. What is that?
Victor is one of the OG Everrise fans.
Probably the first.
Is he?
Probably the first official friend of the show.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, he came in. We just lost him again. He was just there.
It's fitting that he'd be the first guy on this.
Well, we should get Victor as the first person on this. Yeah. And have you met Victor before?
Never in person, no.
Okay, well let's do this over here. Victor, welcome to the show, buddy.
There he is. Hold on, let me turn off my YouTube. Hold on, I got you guys both on here. Okay,
just mute the other YouTube. Victor, why aren't you wearing your shirt? What is it?
Did you just get out of the shower?
This is like a massage. I don't know.
Just get out of the shower. I had to give my 3-year-old a shower, so I had to do it quickly and get on.
I love it.
I didn't want to miss it.
Welcome to the show, buddy.
Hello, man. I didn't expect this. So I would have worn a shirt. Sorry.
I know. I like that you're not wearing a shirt. It's a safe space.
It is a safe space,
Just like Matt earlier wasn't wearing a shirt while he was driving. That's weird, bro. It's weird.
What do you mean? It's Florida. You don't even have a fan on, dude. Like, how muggy is it? The fan's not even on.
Cool yourself.
I don't need the fan on right now. I'm good.
Yeah, he's a Florida boy.
Yeah, that's right. I'm inside, so I've got the AC. I'm good to go.
Yeah. What's going on, Victor? You got something for us or what?
I had typed in a question. It was a very serious question. What I wanted to know was
just read it.
So at what point, after you guys get a contract, you guys get signed, you guys start on TV again, which one's going to turn on which?
Who's going to tune on who?
Who's gonna? I mean, Jeff, are you just gonna super kick them?
No.
During the live shows?
Super kick.
I don't know, Jeff.
Super kick.
You know, so sometimes I got a bit of a temper sometimes. You know, a bit of a temper.
Yeah,
I get a little moody.
Here's the thing.
What's the thing?
Like,
Are you stirring the pot,
we've
Victor?
been doing this for 20 years. Okay, we're married. Okay,
Yeah.
And here's the thing about getting a divorce: financially, it always ruins somebody, and I'm not taking that chance. So we're gonna ride it out.
We're gonna ride it
out
Good answer.
till we're old and miserable.
That is a good answer, and he's right though, because it has been 20 years. I mean, longer than 20 years. You know, we met in the third grade.
Grade
and,
3 in Canada.
Yeah, you know, we're not even friends at this point. We're like brothers. You know, so and sometimes brothers fight. It does happen.
No turning.
How long have you guys known each other? You said when did you meet, in school or what?
Yeah,
we met
third
in
grade.
Third grade.
Wow.
School, yeah. So we're 8 years old.
Yeah.
Been the
So
wrestling guys.
Almost 30 years.
Give or take, yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Your headphones are moving around there,
Yeah,
Victor.
what's
Let's
the feedback?
yeah, you're getting the mic there. Okay.
I'll stay still. I have a hard time not moving.
Rubbing against
That's not a
there.
problem. Okay. That's yeah, we'll make sure that's good. Okay. Well, Victor, listen, I'm so happy that you're able to come on, the first guest. That's awesome. And then maybe next week you can come on again and we can talk a little bit more about things, and keep tuning into the show, my friend.
Yeah, look, don't wear a shirt next time either.
Yeah,
No shirt.
your thing
I
is
won't.
no
Just-
shirt
just
now,
for
bro.
Yeah.
Just for
No
you. I
No
won't.
shirt, Victor.
I'm no shirt too. It's okay.
Yeah. And you stopped wearing, you stopped cutting off your sleeves during the show. What's up with that?
Well, it's because we only have one run of these shirts, so I don't want to take a chance and ruin them. You know.
He only has 2 shirts. He's not in WWE anymore. We're gonna get to that.
You gotta save every. I got a child coming.
Times are tough.
Yes, I know.
Give me a pop,
Congrats,
man.
by the way.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. Victor, thank you so much for being the first guest on the show. Okay, buddy?
Thanks, pal.
Yeah.
All right.
Take care. That's Victor on the show. That's awesome. That's pointed out some really, really good. This is this is great how there's all these people remembering us from Montreal. A lot of people don't know this, but you guys are from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. I'm from Montreal, and that's how, we'll go back and forth in the history there. It's quite interesting. But so we talked a little bit how you kind of guys broke through. Let's talk a little bit about, not the downer in the room, but let's just address it, because once it's there, once we talk about it, then we move forward. Okay.
Yeah, you got to get out of the way.
Got to get it out of the way. So how long were you with the WWE before obviously things cut off? So
almost 2.5 years.
Yeah, we got there February 2019.
Yeah.
So is this one contract or is it 2? Is it
2? That was 2
But
contracts.
yeah, they just kind of re-upped you kind of halfway through. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it kind of depends. Like sometimes they'll give you a bonus for just money and no time, and then sometimes you get money and time. So this was either the second or the third. It's
at some point we had both signed new contracts or whatever. We got bumps in pay, and they added time on mine, but not on his. I think that kind of ruined our negotiating power.
100%, but that was on us for not looking at it.
Yeah, we didn't know. You're just excited, right? So we just signed.
But that's what a big company does, right?
Yeah.
They're thinking of all those those
smart
ways to do
business.
that.
There's always someone waiting to screw you.
That's the thing about America.
Well, that's the thing, right? These companies, it's in their
not
nature
dumb.
to do that,
They're not
right?
dumb.
So, okay, walk me through. So now you've had some success right now. You're doing really well. You're breaking grounds. You even have these amazing tweets coming in from NXT, and people are pushing you in terms of, what's happening, and they're really, really starting to see what you're doing, getting noticed.
Mm-hmm.
You see that there's a couple of big releases that happened earlier on in the year in the pandemic. You had the most famous one. You had Drake Maverick, who got released, was able to earn his way back. We'll get into that another time. And then, you survive through that. And am I assuming, and I'm just going to make an assumption here, I haven't asked you this, is there, in the locker room, so to speak, is there a lot of kind of tense feelings like, okay, are we good? Or are we going to get past the next couple of months?
That's a good question.
It's a great question. The thing about the environment is I feel like everybody's job scared at almost all times.
So for the first, pre-COVID, I didn't feel that at all. It's almost like WWE didn't release people for 3 years before COVID. And then that first April 15th of 2020, they did the spring cleaning, right? They cut I don't know how many people, 50 people, office people.
Yeah, give or take.
Talent. Yeah. We just stayed on the phone for 6 hours that day, and we were like, whew, made it another year.
Survived, yeah.
You know?
But that was the other thing is these cuts would usually happen in the spring cleaning. They'd go every year. So you'd get past that post-Mania spring cleaning. You're like, all right, I got another year.
So this year they do it again the same day, April 15th. They cut a bunch of people, and we like, but they didn't cut anybody from NXT, right? So I play poker on the weekends, and Buddy Murphy's in our poker game, and he comes in, he goes, "Boys, the NXT cuts aren't done yet," and I'm just like, "Oh no," and like that's when people are walking on eggshells. You kind of got this feeling in the pit of your stomach, like, is this coming? We're on TV every week. We think we're good.
I can sort of equate it to, I'm sure,
it's weird.
And it's not just it's in wrestling, right? If anybody works at any company that starts downsizing.
Oh yeah.
Anywhere you're working,
if
and like
the layoffs are coming, right?
Yeah, and
you've
you
all
see
been there.
Friends, people you've been working for, and like you start comparing yourself, like, oh, I think I do a better job than this person. Oh, this person is really good at their job, but they got let go. Well, shit.
Yeah.
So there's the paranoia that creeps in, no question.
And then
it's unusual because, in that analogy, and I've used that analogy a lot. Like any organization, company has the right to kind of shift when they have to. They're public or they're private, right? Business is business. Mm-hmm. But the WWE is doing very well. I mean, this is not a question of a company saying, you know what, we're really sorry, we have to cut because we're not making. They are doing very well financially. If you look at their earnings, their earnings numbers. They're doing great. Like, I think they're doing probably some of the best they've ever done in the past, 15 years.
Record.
Yeah.
So part of me, like, you think about that, and it doesn't add up, right? So part of me wonders if, like, are they anticipating tough times coming forward?
Getting ready to sell. You could be like, that's a big.
That's another thing. I don't know.
Padding up the numbers for sale, like. On paper, it just makes absolutely no sense that anybody would lose their job. Like at first with COVID, it was like furlough. So people were being laid off and you'll be brought back later. So that was like, okay, maybe I can understand that because we're kind of shutting down the operation to an extent. But
I also get it. Like you want to keep talent on their toes, right? You want to keep reaching for that, the brass ring, they say. But to get back to your initial question, it was like, so they did the round of cuts this year in April. We made it. Then they did another round. And then like Braun Strowman got released, Tommy End got released. And at that point, you're like, oh, all bets are off.
All bets are off.
So was that the reaction when Strowman got released? Was that was the reaction of the whole locker room? Like, uh-oh.
Absolutely. Yes. Dude, at that point, when that happened, I remember that day. We had class. Dude, everybody, it was like somebody had died.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Wow. Everybody was shocked, somber. Like you're at a funeral.
Because you knew what it meant. You knew that anything can happen now.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
Anything. It's the second round of cuts. This is unusual. You're sweeping away big guys like that who are actually on TV doing something, like they were running the stuff for Tommy.
And like he was on WrestleMania.
Yes, exactly.
Working with Shane.
I mean, Mania. Like it didn't matter. It just didn't matter. Well, yeah, see you later. So at that point, all bets are off. Yeah. But we felt pretty good because we're not featured on TV every week, but we're on television every week. We're kind of building these characters. We had laid out, there's future plans, laid out for us. We knew where we wanted to go, and it was happening. It was
for the first time
happening.
For the first time in our,
I'm getting fired up
in our 2.5 years. There was actually a plan.
Yeah.
So wait, I'm sure a lot of people right now would love to know, obviously what you can tell them about that plan. Like, give us a little bit of a cliff notes or what you can about. What could the future have held for Everrise?
Well, I think it's pretty clear it was being laid out for us to be these babyface underdogs, right? Yep. Who struggle and persevere. And at some moment, you got to believe, especially with fans coming back and everything, at some point we would have gotten the big win and had that moment with the people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it was just to continue sort of what we're doing. Like, we're going to keep you doing these background things. And like, you're not going to win on TV, but it's going to be part of that endearment towards those characters. Yeah. It's just pushing, but we'll always have you talking. We'll always have you walking in people's backstage and always being these characters that are just always on the show. And you're just like,
at some point, I think the natural fit would have been for us to do Everrise Live, our Saturday morning show on NXT, on the Tuesday nights. Yeah.
And when it came to NXT, did you have mentors or did you have, like specific wrestlers? That you mentioned Triple H and some other folks, but did you ever really have any of those guys those were the ones that you went to for all the advice on how to build the characters, what was going on?
I mean, the two that come to mind right off the top of my head are Terry Taylor and Scotty 2 Hotty.
Yeah,
I just love both of them. Scotty 2 Hotty. Great guy.
Just so much good
So
advice from him, especially so you have Scotty, who's been there. He's been through it all. A smaller guy in a time of giants,
tag team guy,
and got ridiculously over. And he would always say, like, he always saw so much of too much, like
in
him
us,
when he was Brian in us.
Yeah.
So it was like that's a huge compliment. So he was always there, always supportive, giving us tips here and there. And Terry Taylor, I mean,
Terry's was
Terry.
like our wrestling dad, and I think
dad.
he kind of plays that role for a lot of people at the Performance Center. You know, he genuinely cares.
He does.
Yeah.
And then like the locker room is fantastic. Like a lot of the time with wrestling locker rooms, you always feel like there's this competition, and truthfully, everyone's just really ready to help everyone else. Someone's having a bad day, it's like, hey man, it's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. Like when we first started, it was like they kind of stripped away everything that we did. It was like, stop being entertaining. Yeah. We want you to be serious wrestlers. Like all this stuff that is just like, well, but that's what we are. They wanted us to be different and just
they wanted us to be tough guys, like these serious fighter tough guys. And like we can do that, but that's not how the audience is going to get to know us and fall in love with us. No. We have to show our personalities. And I don't know that they like, that's not what they wanted, but they're our bosses. So we tried to give them what.
Yeah.
But a lot of the guys in the locker room would just go, whatever, just give him what he wants for now. In 6 months, you'll be doing what you do. And they were 100% right.
And I think that's, I think that's what happens in a lot of jobs, right? Sure. Like, I mean, regardless if it's wrestling or if it's professional and other professional sports or the corporate world, you tend just to do things and you get in a cycle of doing it, right? And thinking that the next cycle will be different, right? And it never really happens. So on that point, which one of you was informed of the release first?
That was me.
So
there's a funny story to that, though, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. So walk me through the day. And
so here's the day.
So I wake up. This was a Friday, right? I wake up. I go to the Performance Center to have a workout, like our regular workout.
Yep.
I worked out. I remember sitting there talking with Ryan Katz. And
it's a normal day,
dude. Totally normal.
Normal day.
This is what's weird about it. And typically, when they do releases, the second you get to the Performance Center, they call you into an office, and you like take a phone call or you talk to Canyon Seaman, and you get let go. They don't even, and security escorts you out.
Yeah,
like that didn't happen at all.
So we do the day's going on, no problem. One of our buddies, he texts me.
This is something.
One of my friends texts me and goes, "Hey, are you all right?" I'm like, yeah, why? What's up? Because a friend of mine who works at Stanford in the office heard you were on a list of people getting let go. And I'm like, oh
yeah.
No.
That's how you found out. Wow.
So I get home and I take a nap after the workout. I wake up at like 12:30. I have a text from Jeff, and he told me exactly that. And I go, what? That does not make sense.
No.
Okay. So I'm going through my phone. Then we get a text from Mansoor, who is Monday Night Raw superstar, Saudi superstar Mansoor. And he sends us a link to one of the news sites saying, oh, more releases from WWE today. And we're just like, oh, what is happening?
Yeah. And while this is going on, we're actually having conversations. We're texting back and forth with some guys from Creative because it was coming up to Great American Bash. So we're sitting there talking about we're supposed to do another pre-show for Great American Bash, like a cookout or something. Like we're just fleshing out ideas.
We're
for
pitching
that.
ideas
back
and forth.
So it was kind of one of those things like, oh, I hear. So our name came up. There's more cuts coming. But we're talking about stuff like today. So it can't be, right? No, there's no way.
It's got to be a mistake.
And then, right? And then my phone rings at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
2:03. And I just saw it. I'm like,
there it is.
Well, this is it. Answer the phone, and there's Canyon Seaman.
So I was actually driving on. Kevin Owens and his family were out of town. They're on vacation. My wife and I go over there to look after the cats, right? To clean the, feed them and stuff. And I was on my way there, and I know this is looming over my head. You feel it coming. I didn't clue in my wife. I told her about the rumors, but I didn't tell her about the text that Jeff had gotten. Because, you don't want to panic her, she's pregnant, so I didn't tell her. And I remember in the middle of like a complete rainstorm, I'm waiting outside Kevin's house. Okay. I'm waiting outside in the pouring rain with my wife in the car. Can't go in because it's too rainy. And he texts me, goes, well, I just got the call. And then 2 seconds later, I get the call. 26 second conversation. How do you
see
do
you
it?
later?
Yeah.
Oh, was that the same with you, Jeff? Was it 26 seconds or was it?
Give or take. It was just one of those, hey, sorry to tell you, we got some bad news. I'm calling with bad news. We're going to have to let you go. We're just going in a different direction. And I mean, there's no conversation to be had, right?
No, what are you going to say?
The thing is with Canyon, who's the guy who has to make these calls, like we've always had a really good relationship with him. Like it's an awful.
He's the messenger. He's the messenger.
Yeah.
It's not his choice.
You just like, look, you just want to let this guy get done with firing all these people because it can't be a good day for him either.
I felt uncomfortable for him.
All right. Well, hey man, thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Take care.
And so Jeff, sorry, Matt. So this happens. You're outside. Your wife is pregnant.
Yeah.
You walk back in. You get back into the car. How do you break the news to your pregnant wife?
Well, I answered it right in the car. So I got the phone call. I just go, there it is, 203. I answer, and she heard the whole thing.
Was
she 26 seconds of it.
She heard the whole thing. Yeah.
And I know you love your wife, and I know I know how supportive she is, but it's a shock. Like right there and then, you guys have been working your whole lives to get to the show, basically, right? And then all of a sudden, you get the call, and then it's over.
Yeah.
But there's got to be some spot in your head where you sit back and you're like, okay, maybe it's over for now. And then maybe if we can come back and we can do something and get some attention, do something. I mean, there's got to be a moment where you sit back and you're just like,
oh yeah,
this just happened. I can't believe this has happened. It's like that, the whatever that is with grief, right? Like it's the few stages of certain something, right?
So truth is, like, I didn't really get that grief period. It was just like, well, this sucks. This really sucks. What do we do?
Yeah.
That was pretty much where it was. I took that 10, 15 minutes to be like, all right, well, that's that. What do we do now?
And so I finish up at Kevin's. I go to back to my apartment with my wife. And then I hear a knock on the door, and it's Jeff. And he's just like, let's get to work.
Showed up with some beers.
And like, we got to get to work.
Let's get to work.
So we filmed the show that night, right? We were like we were doing for WWE, coming out every Saturday morning with our show. We're like, we're doing it tonight.
Yeah.
We're going to release it on our own, and let's just keep this train rolling. You know what I mean? Don't stop. We knew it was going to get a lot of attention.
Oh yeah, because everyone wants that statement first, and luckily we had this thing that we were doing on Saturday mornings, and we got fired on a Friday. So what better way to make this little announcement and let people know what's up, which it's never going to be hotter. We're probably going to be one of the first ones to get this word out. And not to mention, we have this show that's building this momentum. There's a following there. There's something going on with what we're doing. So why would we ever stop? And that's how we're going to do it. And we tongue in cheek and did a fun little way of announcing it and started a whole new show.
And if anybody who's watching right now wants to go back and watch that episode, it's the first episode on the channel. The show rules.
Episode 1, the show
on
must
YouTube.
go on.
There you go.
So this is a spot you got delivered the news. You came in, you sat down, and then you started over again, essentially, right? And that's the
brainstorming.
And that's the genesis. That's the spot right now where you are, and that's the spot where, you know, that's why a rearview mirror is so small, because the past is the past. You're driving by it, right? But the dashboard in the car, man, that it is just. It's big for a reason. You got to see your future. And I remember getting off the phone with you, you know, not that long after it happened. And you were just pumped, like not pumped, but you were excited. You're like, okay, this is what the cards are being dealt. This is what we're going to do.
Let's go. Like we got the call at say 3:30, whatever it is. We had that show in the can by 7:30.
Yeah. And especially right now, Aaron, like, it's such an exciting, it's so cliche to say now, but it's such an exciting time in wrestling, right? AEW, Impact, MLW, ROH, New Japan, right? And the world's opening up, right?
The indies are
There's no excuse to sit on your ass and be complacent and cry. There's no crying in baseball, guys.
There's no crying in baseball. Right? And I feel like that time of like where people spend 15, 20 years in WWE and that's like the be all end all isn't necessarily what it is anymore. Like there is more of an option of almost territory wise going to all these little different places and still making an absolute fantastic living and building this body of work. So let's go.
We had a great time in WWE, and on to the next.
Yeah. So if you want to get on in the show right now, all you have to do is email us at the email address is right there. The show rules at gmail.com. We'll send you over a link. You can join in the show, ask any question you'd like. The show rules at gmail.com, and come on the show and chit chat. And let's keep talking. There's honest to goodness, there's so much stuff to talk about like the fun times. They're really interesting. There's a lot of topics, and I know we're going to get into more of them every single week as the show. I mean, there's already almost 75 people on the live stream right now.
Thank you for showing up.
Thank you.
For the first show, I mean, that's pretty awesome. And pretty so a question that I had, so I mean, you mentioned you're hanging out with Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
And Kevin Owens, a big name in the WWE, former champion. And so at any point, did you think about looking at some of the other guys that that are really successful within the company, saying, hey, is there anything you can do? Or is that just you just don't do that?
They kind of brought it up on their own, like in a way, like, oh, maybe I could talk to this person or talk to that person, see what's up. And you're like, hey, sure, that'd be great. You know what I mean? But we know how these conversations go. Everybody means well. And at the end of the day, you know what I mean? And maybe it will down the line. I don't know.
But it's also one of those things too. It's like it is like ending a relationship. You got to close the door on it and be like, all right, that was that. Yeah, we had our fun. Now I'm going to go find what I do with the rest of my life. Doesn't mean there can't be a reunion tour down the road.
No, everybody loves a reunion tour.
Who knows? But it's like you get let go and you're not like, oh, but I want to get back in. Like, no, all right, what do we do next now? And what's also nice is that now we have this freedom we have this little thing that we have, and now we can grow it bigger and do so much more like this show that we can't do under that umbrella.
Yeah, we could, and no, it's cliche to say the handcuffs are off, but like in a sense, we don't have to be so guarded with, the things that we say or the things that we do on our channel. You know what I mean? We could be ourselves, our authentic selves,
Well, I mean, you're one of the very few, even when you're in NXT, who are allowed to do something online. I mean, reality is,
because we just did it.
We never asked permission.
We just did it. It's one of those things you just do it and ask for forgiveness later if somebody has an issue. But the thing just snowballed, kept growing, and you build relationships with the social team. So then they start putting it on the channel, and it just went from there. So I wouldn't say we went to Triple H and said, hey, sir, excuse me, can we do like a social show on Saturday mornings? Can we do that? Like, that's not how it works.
You're going to get told no.
He would just tell you, what are you even talking about?
Who are you?
Who are you? Who hired you?
Yeah.
So a question I have, if you're looking at, you're right, because wrestling today is exciting. I mean, there's, when WCW was bought, I remember doing a wrestling show, as you guys know, in Montreal called In the Ring. And I'll never forget it because it got bought out, and I think 6 months later I sold the show and I moved on because I said there's no more competition and they can do what they want, but there's just one company now, and it will never be as good, right? And not to knock the talent, had nothing to do with the talent, but when you take away that thing that drives the other person to do something, it's like an athlete. When you're racing, if you're just racing yourself, you're just going up against a clock watch. Stopwatch, excuse me. But if you're racing 7 or 8 other people, man, that drives you because you want to beat the guy or the gal beside you and stuff like that. Competition brings out the best, I believe, in organizations. It made the WWE and the WWF so much better in the late 90s when you guys fell in love with it, and probably a little bit earlier than that. I look at the WWE and wrestling right now with AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor, all the other promotions that you mentioned. I look at that as this is the most exciting time to be a wrestling fan. And the opportunities now, in my opinion, are endless. Mm-hmm. Right?
And it is.
Especially if you have that attitude of going out to get it. And, that's always something we tell anybody who's asking advice, like trainees or whatever, is you have to be willing to go out and make these things happen for yourself.
What's great, to your point, Aaron, is, all these places exist now and this competition, but you can also make a name for yourself on your own. Yeah. There's so many, like with vlogs, with the internet, you know what I mean? This YouTube channel, like somebody like Sammy Guevara, his vlog is spectacular. You know what I mean? Yeah, he did that on his own.
Yeah, right. the young bucks with theirs as well.
Yeah. I got to give props to Kevin Owens. He was Kevin Steen, Weekend Escapades, the first guy. I think he started the whole trend of starting the vlog. So props to Kevin. He doesn't get the respect that he deserves when it comes to that stuff.
Fair point.
Oh, good for him. Good for him. Wait, hold on. We have a message over here. Okay, it says, "Do you regret not calling Top Dollar Uncle Phil?"
Knowing how that week played out, I 100% regret not calling him Uncle Phil.
Yeah.
I thought I'd bring that up.
Gone out swinging.
Yeah. Should have just did it. Should have just did it.
Okay, cool. So Todd, let's just talk a little bit about AEW right now, because I quickly want to go over this. I think it's awesome. The rumors are right now that CM Punk and Daniel Bryan have signed contracts with AEW. The Daniel Bryan one has been confirmed with a few members on the inside of AEW. You guys obviously probably have seen Daniel. You've worked, I'm not sure if you've worked with him or if you've seen the type of work that he does. One of the best wrestlers of our times.
Of course.
And then you think of Kenny Omega as well. When you just look at this guy and you're just like, well, Kenny Omega is just, just absolute treat to watch. I mean, he's just, in my opinion, one of the best wrestlers I've seen in the last 25 years.
Absolutely.
So when you think of Daniel Bryan signing with AEW, what does that do to the business?
So the first, I'll take it here. My first thought, and I was talking about this with some friends earlier today, actually, is like, my concern is for Daniel Bryan's health, like his head. He's had a lot of concussion issues, and now you're going over to this company where the style's hard, right? And he's probably going to go wrestle in Japan as well. I'm just like, he's probably going to put a lot of miles on his body.
He's going to go hard.
He's going to go hard. There's no,
he doesn't. That guy doesn't.
He doesn't take the foot off the pedal.
No. But I think what's beautiful about where he's at in his career at this moment, and like, who knows what this AEW thing is? Is it a full-time exclusive deal? And nobody really knows until it's done. It would surprise me if it is, I'm being honest, because obviously he wants to go and work for all these things. But the other thing is there's these working relationships everywhere. I think he's in this beautiful spot where he can pick and choose the matches that he wants to do when he wants to do them. And he's a draw.
So what do you think, Aaron, you're a business guy. Let me ask you this question. Do you think the yes chant, yes on t-shirts and all that is trademarked by WWE and AEW won't be able to use it?
So that's a very good question. I think you can't trademark the word yes. You can trademark the word that you can trademark the fingers beside it. But the thing is, AEW doesn't have to worry about that because the crowd will automatically yell yes, no matter what. That's just what they're gonna. That's what they're gonna do, right?
What a moment that's gonna be if that happens.
And even his theme song. His theme song is it's
Final Countdown.
No.
It's,
Flight of the Valkyrie, right? Yeah.
And that's an open domain song, right? So basically anybody can redo that song in a hard rock version or anything like that. It's the same thing with Ric Flair's song. You don't need and also CM Punk, his song is from A Living Color. So they just have to pay the royalties to play that song. They're going to get away with.
They're doing that.
They do that, right? They did it for Jungle Boy.
You got Mox, who has Wild Thing.
That's right.
Tony Khan is not afraid to spend the money right now, right?
This guy put the money on the table.
Listen, give Tony Khan credit. I sit back and I turn around as a wrestling fan, as a VP of marketing myself, and I sit back and I'm like, the way that Tony Khan and AEW have approached the promotion, they've done it so well. The only misstep that they had, and it's okay to have a couple of missteps because you learn from them. Sure. The only misstep that they had is in their women's division and the way that they started off with it. But now where the women's division is right now, you've got an amazing champion in Britt Baker, but you also have so many amazingly talented females that are in there and developing right now. And so they had a misstep at the beginning, and that's okay. Yeah.
And now you have
they are doing phenomenal. And the WWE, I mean, listen, I credit where credit's due. I'm not a WWE guy, but credit is where it's due. Their women's division, the talent, the talent that these females have in terms of wrestling capabilities, athletic capabilities, I think it's probably best in the world.
Yeah, and if you have young daughters and everything who are watching the product, like that's a dream, right? Yeah. Like you don't want your daughter looking up the Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't know, you know what I mean? You probably want her looking up to Sasha Banks or somebody like that.
And they're all derivative from the Trish Stratus, Lita, Lisa Marie era, Ivory, because those were the girls who had the matches. Yeah. And then so if these girls were young watching them, now it's now I have something to be. Sure. So it all makes sense that generations removed, it just becomes more wrestlers.
But that, I mean, if Daniel Bryan and CM Punk end up at AEW, the reaction that these two are going to get, you know what I mean? It's going to be something else.
We keep seeing in the chat, people talking about AEW for the past couple of weeks have been hitting over 1 million.
Yep.
And you were in NXT when AEW came out, and the whole big issue was AEW was going to go on Tuesdays, and then NXT said, well, we're going to go on Tuesdays, right? And then AEW said, well, we're going to go on Wednesday. Well, we're going to go on Wednesdays. Yeah. And it became this silly war when it was like, really, like, at the end of the day, that's where I was kind of sitting back saying, you know what? Wrestling fans just want to watch wrestling. And as someone and two individuals right there, a tag team in NXT at that point, what were you guys thinking when you heard about AEW and then all of a sudden you're competing against them on the same night?
Super, awesome. Yeah, it's amazing.
Awesome.
Come on, it's like taking us back to 98. You know, it's funny. I remember watching like Road Dogg and Hunter and those guys. It was almost as if they had PTSD and they were going back to 98. You know what I mean? They're in the trenches, like it's wartime. You know,
it was also fun because like now you'd always joke because it's not as big, but it was still something in the wrestling world. They're like, oh, we're back in the Monday Night War. So like, we're friends with a lot of people in wrestling. So like there was one point in time where I think it was us.
This is great.
And the other segment on TV was maybe it was Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy. There was
it was guys from our fantasy football chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Head to head. So someone did a screen grab.
There's a screenshot of us on TV and them on TV at the same time.
Put it in the old Monday Night War logo.
Yeah, it's just what a moment.
Like, so wow. As somebody who's in wrestling, it's like this kind of stuff shows up and it's like good. And I think almost everybody had that feeling of, oh, we need this, A, for our product, but B, just for people as independent contractors, we need other places to work.
Absolutely. You know what's funny? A funny little story is, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, okay? We have a match against the Grizzled Young Veterans. And we get to the back and the match is, hey, we're feeling good. Match went well. Everybody liked it, whatever. And then we open our phones and it's just Sting debuted on AEW. Yeah. So we were up head to head against Sting. And we're like, well, guess we lost that quarter hour.
I'll take that loss.
Think about you'd actually be saying that sentence out loud.
Yeah,
right?
It's insane.
It's amazing. Yeah. We had a message here from I Wish Hardcore. WWE was smart to put NXT head to head with AEW. AEW automatically became the competition for NXT, not for Raw or SmackDown. That's a very, very good point. You know, and it's interesting to you know what? A lot of people talk, and this is another question that comes out a lot. Like, you can give us some context on this. A lot of people talk about, the boys and the ladies in the back in terms of the locker room, getting a little bit jealous of the freedoms that folks had at NXT, at AEW and Impact versus what was going on, and everything's so scripted in the WWE. Is that the case?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. That's Absolutely. The case. Easy answer. Yeah, big time. I don't even know how to elaborate. You know what I mean? Because everything we do in everything they do in WWE is so micromanaged. Like they rehearse in the afternoon your entrance. Okay, do your entrance again. Do it again. Do it again. Make sure you have all the camera angles, and it kind of takes the soul, I think, out of the product at times.
It's good in certain situations when something massive has happened. You got to make sure you get angles and this, that. It's a big moment. I can understand.
You don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it.
I understand that, but that management does kind of fall into the everything sort of becomes robotic. So there was certainly that, like, oh, they're having fun over there.
Yeah,
they are having fun.
Not so concerned about the hard cam.
At first they weren't. Steve writes in, okay, wrestling talk is great, but how do I get into this fantasy football?
That is Steve Buchanan from DraftKings.
He's got all this inside intel.
He's got a little.
He's too good at sports to be in our terrible fantasy football.
I don't think so, Steve.
He's too good. He's going to win it every time. We all suck.
I'll tell you who's not going to win it, me.
Not a chance.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so if you want to get in on the show, if not this week, you can get in next week. It's once again, the email's on the screen, the show rules@gmail.com. Some of the upcoming, we're going to have guests on the show, like, other wrestlers. There's going to be other sports athletes that are going to come on, celebrities that are going to come on the show. It is going to be so much fun doing this weekly show. I thought it was really good that we would do that first show right now to kind of, get our feet wet, so to speak.
Break the ice,
Exactly. And while we talk about that, we've got someone who just joined the show right now. We got Brett
All
Baller?
right. Yeah,
Did I see that right?
Brett.
Brett, welcome to the show.
What's up, Brett?
It's a pleasure to be on. My audio is good, right? I don't want to have any popcorn audio like we had before.
A little low. You got to speak up, I think.
Oh, it's a little bit low. All right.
Yeah.
I'm using the phone. All the other crap's all out of battery, so kind of limited here. But
All good.
I did want to ask though, because I saw that you guys tweeted out the other day about expanding the show, and that all that kind of stuff, and you mentioning Sammy Guevara's vlog and BTE and all this stuff. So where do you guys see something like the show? Like obviously you mentioned you kept it going after you got released, like releasing the Saturday morning. Where do you guys see it going in the future in terms of like what you were talking about with the expansion and all that stuff? And I guess selfishly, if we did email in, when do you think we could hear back from it?
Hey, here he is.
I knew that was coming. That's a great question, dude. It's a great
good.
question. Yeah, we did put that email out and we got a ton of responses. And it's one of those things that's like, we are also in the process of figuring out exactly where we're going to go. Like we knew this show was on the horizon. We know we have this other show that we're doing, telling stories and stuff like that. So it's figuring out where all these places fit. And it was about reaching out and finding guys like, and thank you for reaching out to us as well. And being like, well, what other kind of people can we have for the team that can help us out? Because like, we are just two morons trying to figure this out. We're
just figuring it out as we go, right? We got let go, and that night we were like, oh, we have to figure it all out now, right? Like,
and it's really important, I think, when you're doing something like this, and especially with the way we do things. Like we say this all the time that we have friends of the show, and like I actually mean that. Like I do mean that we want to build this audience, all of us together, and have this thing that everybody enjoys.
Well,
and
it was always it was even at WWE it was like
100%.
that because we weren't like a featured act, right? We weren't a featured act at all. So anybody that took the time to buy a mug, to buy a T-shirt, to just click on the link and watch the program, like it meant a lot to us.
Yes.
They were friends of the show, and still are. I don't know if we answered your question, but somebody will be in touch.
We will be in touch soon. Yes, once we figure out exactly what it is.
This guy looks like he knows what he's doing.
He does know what he's doing.
Yeah, he presents himself very well.
I'm sold.
You got it, Brett.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll get back to you. I promise. We'll see how we can get you involved behind the show.
Behind the show.
Oh, okay. I'll keep tabs on the email for you.
Awesome.
There it is.
Any other questions for the guys?
No, nothing really. Just always been a big fan of NXT. Always loved Everrise, and just keep going with YouTube, man. It's been a lot of fun to keep up with it.
Awesome. I really
Thanks,
do appreciate
Brett,
it, dude.
Have a good night, man.
Thank you, boys too.
Take it easy, bud.
There goes the Hitman right there.
With two D's.
That's
anytime you see a Brett, it's always the Hitman. Well, okay, so listen. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to tell, and I've gotten so many messages over here on the side. For everybody who's saying, Aaron, read the comments. It is extremely difficult being the only one doing the multiple things on the screen.
Yeah.
Man,
Aaron, read the comments.
Do your job.
I'm trying. There's a lot of comments. You guys have no idea. There's a ton of stuff. I promise you, after the stream is done, the live stream, hey, we're on live, right?
We're live on the program.
The interesting thing is if the WWE would look at you guys like Kevin Owens and some of these talented individuals who can talk and they can speak off the cuff and you don't have to worry about it. I mean, you guys are just, anyways, it's a treat.
I don't know what to tell you, Aaron. I don't think it matters as much to them as they say it does. I don't know.
We're not 6'2".
Yeah, we're not 6'2". What are you gonna do?
Hey, Goldberg's got a new contract, so
Hey,
he's
good for Goldberg.
executing his
money,
contract.
Bill.
Hey, listen,
we're making the money, Bill.
Love Goldberg.
What's he gonna say? No?
Yeah, make the money.
Well, yeah, and hey, if you noticed when he came to the ring, man, those arms were jacked. Hey, like I think he's had a lot of time to work.
TRT is a beautiful thing.
It's a very beautiful thing.
I'd be doing it too if I could.
you go.
I don't know where to find it.
Good for you.
But
Why
we will
not,
definitely
right?
get to all the comments, even if we can't get them to. If they stay there, we will find a way to answer them. We will get everybody covered.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is this. Next week, we're going to post on Twitter about a brand new topic that we're going to do. And as you can see, the show is not just about one topic. We're going to talk about things in a positive way. This is not – if you're interested in us shooting on a whole bunch of people and putting people down, we're not going to do that. This is not a show for you. It's a positive program. We're going to be talking about the future. What is it like to actually be behind the scenes, getting ready for a show, getting ready for when the lights go down, all the wrestlers, what do they talk about before? What actually food do they serve in catering when they talk about catering?
That's a great question.
So don't answer that today. We're going to answer that next week on the show. There's so much stuff to talk about. So what you want to do is you want to follow us at the show rules on Twitter. Next week, we're going to introduce the Facebook channel as well. There's going to be multiple ways to get in touch with us. And remember, Matt could be a dad any moment now.
Any moment.
And any moment. His lovely wife is carrying a beautiful soon-to-be baby, and we cannot wait. And this is what they took away from television, these two fine guys, and we cannot wait. It's going to be because of the community.
The show must go on, Aaron, and we are here with you every Thursday.
Every Thursday. And you know what? It's going to be because of the community that we create on YouTube right now that I guarantee you within 6 to 8 months, live on AEW, the show rules will be there. I promise you. You guys,
2 hours. The whole 2 hours is just going to be this.
2 hours. You guys are going to be. We're going to talk about it. Okay.
He's hungry for 10%.
Hey, want some more?
I'm doing this for free. Okay,
that's true.
I love it. Okay, I'm a passionate guy, and I think you know what? I wouldn't do this for any other tag team or any other wrestler that I didn't think that kind of got the little shaft, if that makes any sense, right? You guys are way too talented, way too creative, and way too smart to not be performing in front of millions of people, because you can add a lot to something. And I think that we're going to start showing everybody across the world on this channel and on this Behind the Show what we really are, what you really are about. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I cannot wait to grow this. And to everybody in the chat, everybody who tuned in live, I promise you next week it's going to be even more in depth. We're going to have so many more stories, and you will not believe who's going to be popping in the next couple of weeks to the Behind the Show. Even if it's for 5 minutes, we will be having some people come in. So email us. Remember, email us at theshowrules@gmail.com. If you'd like to be a contributor to the show, we are looking for a couple of people who would love to volunteer, help out with a little bit of things here and there. Let us know if you're interested in helping out. That would be great. Get in touch with us any way you possibly can, and we look forward to it. And Matt and Jeff, since you guys are out of character, and I know you've been in character a lot on YouTube, talking to all the fans that you have, and other than people that are watching live right now, what is your message to the fans that you have and the people that have been watching you for years and who believe in you, and other wrestlers out there who are saying, what are these guys all about? What is your message to everybody right now? Out of character.
Everyone, of course, to everyone who's been following it, like Matt said earlier, anybody who ever, you like a video, leave a comment, like it does mean so much to us. You buy a shirt, you buy a cameo, you subscribe to the channel, you're watching this right now. Guys, it really does mean so much, because here we are doing this without a net, because we believe in just delivering good, something that's around pro wrestling. And just thank you. I guess that's really the thing, is gratitude, dude.
Yeah, man. Every mug that you guys bought, every cameo, every shirt. We sold a lot of shirts that first weekend, guys. Yeah. Everybody that watches the program, every single, every day we're putting something out, and you guys are tuning in, and we really it means the world, guys.
Greg Thomas wanted to say, speak French, so merci.
Hey, salut, man.
Merci.
Greg.
Go Habs, go.
Yeah, go Habs, go.
Not good news today about Weber, but we'll talk about that next week.
We talk about that off there. We don't bash Weber on this program.
No, we do not.
Oh, I got a good memory there. Hey, memory like an elephant. I like it. So listen, on behalf of Matt, on behalf of Jeff, the former tag team known as Everrise on NXT, and now the brand new tag team known as The Show Rules.
Oh yeah.
My name is Aaron Amadeus. This is Behind the Show, and every day, keep checking this YouTube channel for more amazing content. And remember, every Thursday, check this channel, because we're doing it live. We're doing it the way that wrestling's supposed to be: interactive, authentic, unscripted, and it's all behind the show.
Cheers, guys.
Have a great week and a great weekend.
We'll see you next week, guys. We'll see you Saturday. Check it out Saturday. Tomorrow, story time. Check the channel. Subscribe. Here we go.
Good night.